Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about a big factor, the big wealth effect that's going to happen, the big wealth transfer from the baby boomers to their younger generations. Now, the bank account, that's probably what you're excited about the most. Well, that's the easiest part. Today, we're going to talk about what happens to all the stuff. That's the stuff that's going to be transferred. Now, we're not just talking about the money, that's the easy part. We're talking about things that are going to be transferred down, meaning the house, the furniture, the china, and all the little things that need to be transferred. Now, the younger generations probably think this video is not for them, but they are going to be the beneficiaries of all this wealth and all this stuff. You know, the years of accumulation that every family seems to have. Baby boomers, listen up. Your kids are into the minimalistic lifestyles, not the mahogany. They like the mid-century modern, not the heavy antiques or the big dining room sets you've kept for many, many years. They love the big comfy sofa at your house, but it won't fit in their one-bedroom condo. In the style, it definitely won't match. And all the years of pet stains and all the activity on the furniture probably isn't going to work for them. Their girlfriend wants something clean, fresh, and smells good. Styles have changed so much over the years, and so many things have changed, including lifestyle, the type of homes that we live in. We used to have these closed off houses. You couldn't see the kitchen from the living room. Now everything's out in the open. As the boomers have aged, they built up a lot of stuff over time, and this stuff may not be anything that's wanted by the family members. It's a big burden as you get older to take on more tasks, much less worrying about liquidating your home. Since I work with a lot of 55 plus clients, I go through this all the time. I recently had to liquidate a person's home after she passed away. I have a new listing coming up this week where we need to get rid of the furniture. My clients have already sold their home in Minnesota and now they're going to be selling their home in Arizona and renting for the rest of their days. The one thing that's really gotten tougher, especially for me trying to help them, is ever since the pandemic, less places like Goodwill will come and actually pick up your furniture. There's very few places now in the valley where you can get someone to come to your property, go through your furniture, and take a lot of things for donation. That's really unfortunate because in one of the properties that I just liquidated, we had to pay a moving company to move the stuff to Goodwill. That's right, we had to pay thousands of dollars to move the items to Goodwill. The family members all flew to town. They picked through what they wanted, which was very little. Again, most of the people and the family members really all they want is they want the money from the estate. They want the income, they want the house. The most important thing you can do is start having these conversations before it's too late. Ask questions like, do you want the house? Are there any goods that you're going to want? What about these collectibles? What about these antiques? What about Grandpa's car? There's a lot of things that are going to come up. Now, most likely, many of the families are spread across the nation. That was the case with my family and the family that I just dealt with. They're not all here. So one of the things that you can do is if you start early, when the holidays come around and you know certain family members are going to be joining you, have that discussion. Have notes in place. Take a look at what each child is interested in. You don't want to start a fight, but you want to start to make an inventory. The sooner you get this started, the better it's going to be for your family. I went through this with my mother. My father passed away when I was 21 years old, so my mother was widowed. But she, like other people, built up things over time. Now, when she left the Midwest and came to Arizona, she did liquidate some of her assets and got rid of some of her furniture. My mom had about $50,000 worth of great antiques and furniture. Some of these were magazine pieces that her and my dad collected. We rented cold storage for over 3 years and we had to move from storage places twice. We literally spent over $5,000 in storage fees, about $3,500 in moving fees. The problem was she didn't try to display these items when they're available in the home. Once we put them in a storage locker and they were confined and all wrapped up, no one could really look at them. We provided pictures, we called estate companies, we called auctioneers, we called a bunch of people. But ultimately, my mom ended up liquidating two storage units, and I'm talking big ones, for $2,500. You're ultimately paying people to haul your stuff away. Now we're ready to move her again, and we're going to go through the same thing again because she needs to downsize even more. But in her mind, she's just not quite ready, and that's the problem. A lot of us have hard heads about this. But this was really difficult on my family and especially the people that live here like me. You know, the family members that are out of town, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. Oh, I can't make it in. That makes it more difficult on the other siblings because they have to take on the additional responsibilities and build up resentment. Now, let's talk about resources. What resources are available for people? I mentioned earlier that Goodwill and a lot of those companies no longer pick things up. The earlier you can start and sell off pieces and minimalize, the better off you're going to be. The one thing I recommend doing first of all is bringing in a stager. As a realtor, I like to bring in a third party so that I don't get to blame if things don't go the way the family members want. But ultimately, you need to go through, since we have camera phones, maybe you take a lot of pictures, but have someone like a stager come in and figure out how you can declutter the home in such a way that it's still livable, but you're able to get rid of some of your stuff. Again, it's definitely easier to sell the stuff and get money for it when it's in the house. When you get to the end and you need to fire sale the stuff to get rid of it, you're ultimately paying people to take it away and you're going to get pennies on the dollar. The one thing real estate people never want to do is get involved with other people's furniture. A lot of people think their furniture is worth a lot of money until they put it on the market. Ultimately, you don't want to spend money to pay to have it hauled to a donation center. Estate sales are great. Some HOAs may restrict them, but that's another resource you can use. And whether you make a lot of money or not, you can move out some of the stuff quickly and get it out of the property. Another thing that's popular is having a garage sale or an estate liquidation that you handle yourself. The only thing I'll tell you is it's a lot of work. Most people don't want people from Craigslist or Facebook coming over to their home and walking through their home. You're going to have to deal with people making lowball offers on all your goods. Now, the house, let's talk about that. First of all, most of the family members are not going to want the house unless it's a lake house, a vacation property, or something like that. They definitely don't want it if there's a mortgage on it. I see that all the time. If there's money due on the property or there's a mortgage payment that needs to be made, most of the family members are going to want to liquidate it. The problem I see with that all the time, and I just was dealing with that on a transaction, is the person that inherits it may or may not live here. They have no idea what it's really worth, and they probably don't trust the real estate agent. A lot of them even call a real estate agent in their city to get an idea what they think the home is worth. There's a property that I've been involved with recently. They went through five escrows or five contract acceptances, and every single time the person backed out during the inspection period. The person that inherited the home, they really have no idea of the value of the home, and the problem is there's a cracked foundation and structural issues. They don't know the vendors here, and apparently the real estate agent hasn't helped them to get estimates to fix it. They probably don't want the liability, but they're not doing their client any favors. The bottom line is the person is holding out for higher dollars. Now they're 200 days on the market and five dead contracts. Now, one thing to keep in mind with the house part is you may end up downsizing more than once before you ultimately move into assisted living or something. And that's another reason why starting this process early is the most important thing you can do. So lastly, the one thing that I want to talk about, I deal with this all the time with the families and everything, and it's very emotional. There's a lot of resentment that gets built up. The parents are frustrated because the children won't get involved and help out. They're all busy with their own life. And the emotional part and some of the resentment I see built up amongst families is one of the most difficult things. So, as a parent or a baby boomer, the best thing you can do is start planning and planning early. Don't just plan your will, plan everything throughout your estate. So, here's the takeaways. Start the conversations early. Keep notes. Number two, get appraisals on important pieces or things of value, including jewelry and antiques. Be realistic about the furniture because you're probably going to get 80% less than what you think it's worth. Plan ahead. And again, you can do this over time, but you just need to get out a notepad, keep notes, have these discussions during family times, especially over holidays. And lastly, let's liquidate things before we need to. Some of my clients are so good at planning this out and downsizing, and it takes so much stress out of their lives, especially when one of the spouses ends up losing the other spouse. This becomes extremely difficult and puts more pressure on the remaining spouse. So anyway, today, thanks for watching. I just wanted to talk about the great wealth transfer and some things that people need to keep in mind. Have a great day. Watch our other videos right over here.